Just recently, I had a student come to me just to work on their basic skills. So we set about fine-tuning their buoyancy, and once I got them into a perfect hover, I asked them to remove and replace their mask because I wanted to see if they could maintain that hover while performing a very simple scuba skill. The first thing the student did was drop their knees and sink to the sand. What the f***?
I offer you a choice. Bend the knee and join me, or refuse and die.
I said...
Kneel.
Beg your pardon.
Kneel.
I'll never kneel to you! Yes, you will! Yes, you will! Or I shall wreak unforgettable harm upon you.
I pledge myself to your teachings.
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name's James, welcome to DiversReady. If you're new here, I'm a professional dive instructor and digital content creator, and we make films with one simple goal in mind, and that's to help make you a better scuba diver. So if you haven't done so already, make your next dive on that subscribe button, click our little bell icon, and that way you'll never miss any of our content. Alright, well this was bound to come up eventually. Go on any chat room, any Facebook group, scuba board, whatever, type in the word kneel or kneeling, and you're gonna see all kinds of arguments come up. I mean, that is just a wormhole no one has time to go down. But because it's such a hot topic, I'm not gonna shy away from it on this channel. That's not my style. So let's talk about kneeling in training. Now let's all accept that kneeling whilst diving has a negative impact overall on the marine environment, and instead let's focus this video on the effect it has on the student diver. And by student diver, I pretty much mean open water entry-level students. Now open water students, by virtue of being the newest to the sport, are also the most easily influenced. Their minds are like dry little sponges, just eager to soak up and latch onto everything that their instructor feeds them. And then we tell them to kneel? How is that in any way teaching people to scuba dive? When, during a scuba dive, have you ever had to kneel? Yeah, let's back it up here, because that makes me sound like I've never told a student to kneel, and that's not accurate. When I went through my Instructor Development Course, or IDC, I was taught that the way you teach people to dive was to have your students kneel on the bottom, and then you kneel on the bottom and you demonstrate a skill, and then they demonstrate the skill. And it probably took me my first 100, 150 students before I realized that everything I learned in my IDC about kneeling, it's all been a pack of lies. Now, many years down the track, I see the effect that me and all the other instructors that were taught like that have had on generations of divers who were told to kneel down and perform skills, and are now unable to perform rudimentary scuba skills whilst maintaining neutral buoyancy. Case in point, my most recent student. So why are instructors taught at their IDC to have their students kneel down? Well, in a word, control. Divers who are kneeling are easier to control, and if they're easier to control, that means you can give more student divers per instructor, and more student divers means cha-ching, more money coming into the system. No, not more money for the instructor, no, they get paid the minimum hourly rate whether they have one student or 8. That's not how it works. So besides the environmental impact, why is this wrong? Well, you're teaching new divers right from the outset to ignore one of the fundamental skills of scuba diving, and that is buoyancy control. We talk about the fundamentals all the time on this channel. There are 4 of them: breathing, trim, propulsion, and buoyancy control. And if you teach people to kneel, what you're actually telling them is buoyancy isn't important, because anytime you've got to deal with something, be it a reg recovery or a mask replace or whatever, you can just go to the bottom and kneel. Well, try that on the north wall of Grand Cayman, where it's 10,000 feet of water, and see how far that gets you. Oh wait, sure, I get it, there's no marine environment to be damaged in a swimming pool for the confined part of the skills, but a swimming pool is just a proving ground before you're allowed to go and do the skills for real in an open water situation. If students are being encouraged to kneel, this creates bad habits that set in really fast and become harder to break down the line. Case in point, the person who just came to me for training that I was talking about in the introduction, who tried to kneel while just doing a simple mask remove and replace skill. Thanks a lot, Rainbow Reef Dive Center, who issued this person's open water and advanced open water certifications. Real professional. And if you're an instructor watching this, help me remember, because it was a while ago, but I seem to think there were words like mastery and role model behavior and demonstration quality were batted around at my IDC. Any of that ring a bell? Any of you? I don't really see where kneeling fits in. Where, like, is that role model behavior? No, it's not. So what are the alternatives then? Well, for example, the training agency RAID have banned all of their students from teaching any skills for any course in a negative buoyant position. I think that is fantastic. Here's RAID President Paul Toomer talking about why RAID don't have a buoyancy specialty course.
Our instructors have to concentrate on propulsion, trim, drag, and buoyancy. There's no Buddha position buoyancy. You're actually doing buoyancy in the proper dive position. There's quite a few subtle differences. We've not reinvented the way that the scuba is taught, but we've brought the essentials back to scuba. Like, we don't have a buoyancy specialty, because buoyancy is a fundamental, essential skill to being a diver. So buoyancy is a fundamental part of open water. So therefore, in our training, buoyancy is heavily concentrated on. Without neutral buoyancy, you're not a proper diver. You're not a diver. So when we teach someone to be an open water diver, we want them to be able to function for the rest of their lives as an open water diver. So we train them properly.
Bravo, Paul. Keep up the excellent work, mate. In my experience and the way I like to teach open water scuba divers, I start off with the fundamental skills: buoyancy, trim, breathing, and propulsion. In a confined environment, that's dive number one. Don't worry about the skill slates and throwing a diver in the water and right now we've got to do a mass remove and replace and a reg recovery and a reg clear and an out of air. Like that, all that comes after you teach them to dive. You have to teach people to dive first. And then, once they've got neutral buoyancy down, then you can ask them to flood their mask and clear it. If you don't tell them to kneel, they will never develop the instinct to kneel. And then throughout their entire diving career, that's just going to benefit their performance in terms of diveability. If you haven't done your open water course already and you're considering taking on an instructor, I would suggest asking them how they teach skills. Do they teach you in a neutrally buoyant position? It's not harder, it's just the proper way. It's the way it's supposed to be done. I had to make it past that learning curve because I was taught as an instructor to have all my students kneel, and I've broken out of that mold, and I know that other instructor friends of mine have done the same. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let me know in the comments below, were you taught to kneel down? Was this a sign that was a thing for you? And if you're an instructor, I'd love to hear your thoughts on having students kneel or not. What's your preference and why? One of the best things about this channel is it is a constant debate. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us the old thumbs up, and until next time, my name's James, this was your Divers Ready Mouthpiece Monday for this week. Dive safe, dive often, and dive neutrally buoyant. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a copyright sting.